One, zero. Woo!
That's right. We are here. Vlogpasters in the house. Jared Brown.
What's
Joshua
happening?
Verwers. We're live. We're present. And it is the YouTubes. So I saw we had a little bit of a snag before I started.
A snafu, if you will.
Yes, because Jared, a bite of brownie, says, "Hey, Jason." And I'm like, "Hey, Jason, who are you talking to?" And, well, Jason Remster, you commented so fast on this video that I didn't even have my chat box open, so it didn't populate in here. So if you want to wave again...
The true definition of first. I mean, you are beyond first.
Right.
You're preeminent. You're like, bah.
Yeah, so it was just... It was amazing. So, Mom says she can't stay long, but she wanted to say hi.
The Debs.
Hi, Mom. Good to see you, even though I can't see you because, well...
Your mom is stinking awesome. She's
I agree.
My absolute favorite. I'm cruising Facebook the other day, and I saw my video. I guess it was yesterday. And I'm like, hey, what in the world? No one shares my videos on Facebook. I'm non-existent on Facebook. I don't even share stuff on Facebook. And I scroll by, and like, there's me. And it was like shared by Deb Verwers. I was like, dadgummit, Deb, yes.
Right.
I love you.
Well, she not only did that. Yesterday, we were setting out in the backyard. We got one of those little kiddie pools, and, you know, two of the little kiddos were hanging in the kiddie pool. And she mentions it again, and she's like, this is the third time that I've watched this video, and I've cried every single time. And Genevieve hadn't watched it yet, and so Mom grabs her phone, pulls it out, pulls it up, and hands it to her, so she watches it there. So she's sharing IRL as well.
IRL. So, I dig it.
Yes. Yeah. Well, hey, you know what, guys? Let's see. We saw the dude is here as well. The dude rocks. Hello, fine fellows. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you as well.
What's up?
Oh, man, this is going to be an interesting conversation. And you know what? We've kind of we've been doing this podcast for what? Like, this is episode number 9.
Yes, I can agree with you on that. I saw it live on, I think it was Anchor I was looking for it the other day. Yep.
So we're up to episode 9, and we are still figuring out the flow of things, which should be kind of expected. But I'm kind of thinking we do a lot of chatting at the forefront that could be very beneficial for those that are not watching and are only listening. So I think maybe we should just jump straight in.
Agreed.
Roll the intro. Roll that beautiful bean footage. And then we'll get to it. So, we are about ready. This is Vlogpastors Podcast, episode number 9.
Welcome to the Vlogpastors Podcast, a podcast all about the stories and strategies of sharing God's love in the digital world. Now, here are 2 pastors that love to put a camera in their face and walk around in public. They are the Han Solo and Chewbacca of digital ministry, JARROD Brown and Joshua Vowers.
That's right. Welcome, everybody, to the Vlogpastors Podcast. I am Joshua Verwers. This is JARROD
Chewbacca.
Brown. So you think you're Chewbacca, so I'm Hans?
Oh, you got to be Hans on this one. Yeah, you got to be Han Solo.
Why do I have to be Han Solo? What if
I don't know. I'm feeling the Chewbacca vibe right now. I just am.
I was feeling the
something
Chewie
inside of me
vibe.
wants to, I can't even make that sound.
Yeah,
I
would have tried, but mine would have sounded worse than yours. So instead, I will just drink some coffee.
It was so funny. I bet you people think that we would be vying for different characters, but it seems like we're always like, nuh-uh, I'm Chewbacca.
Right.
No way, I'm Screech.
We didn't even ask last week. What do you think? I mean, we used Bert and Ernie last week, didn't we? Who's Bert? Who's Ernie? Got no clue. Not like it really matters anyways. So today on the podcast, on the Vlogpastors Podcast, we are talking about what does online ministry look like post-quarantine restrictions.
Post-apocalypse.
Yeah. Before we jump into that actual conversation, just want to give a few shout outs that are in there. Bite a Brownie is right there. I love how I can pull it up. Hello. And your comment is right above your face. Mama was in the house. Good old Deb Verwer's hanging out. The Dude Rocks also catching us on YouTube. We saw Jason Remster over on YouTube. And we have also got Precious over there watching on Twitter via the Periscope app. So Precious, good to see you here as well. John Haynes is saying, who wants to start singing Rubber Ducky, you're the one?
Boom.
Yes. This is episode 9. JARROD, how have you been in the last 7 days since we chatted in this format?
Oh, man. I think our answer is always busy, but I will finally, after months and months, say I had like nearly a vacation this week. Things have slowed down to what I think will be a new normal, manageable pace. Yes.
Well, look at you.
Yes. I tell you what, a noticeable difference in my demeanor. I'm not just head down sorting through logistical stuff. Gotta get this done. I stopped and smelled the roses. Not literally, they burned off here in Texas, but
well, yeah.
If there were, I would have smelled them.
See, and for me up here, yes, another busy week, and I did not stop and smell the roses. It has been go, go, go. I can't figure out which way is coming, which way is going, where I'm at. I did get called in to drive school bus again.
Attaboy.
And that was interesting because of, quarantine type restrictions and social distancing. So it's only like one kid per seat, and everybody on the bus has to wear masks, not only the students, but also the driver.
Oh.
Right. So driving in a school bus, no air conditioning except for the
So,
windows.
quick question. When you hit your quota, like you pick up a certain number of kids, what if they're from the same family? Can they sit in the same seat?
Yes. If they are from the same family, they can sit in the same seat. That's the only, kind of catch in it. Now, this was just for sports. So this isn't even going back to school. They're
Okay.
not sure what's going to happen when we get back to school.
That would be a train wreck.
Yeah, it's that exactly. How do you do that? I mean, when pretty much every school district in the entire nation is hurting for drivers, so they don't have enough already, which means they don't have enough buses already. They're already cramming them in as tight as possible. Now you can't cram them in tight as possible, so you got to do twice as many trips, or you've got to stop picking certain people up. I don't know.
Exactly. Like,
This is unprecedented times that we're in. With everything that we've had, sure, have there been plagues and outbreaks in the past? Absolutely. But there has never been one on this scale with this type of a culture that we have. And that's the thing. Nobody can ever say, oh, well, back in my day, well, sorry, back in your day, we didn't even have the internet where people could watch us live ramble on for an hour plus about who knows what. So it's like, I mean, they didn't have that. It's just an interesting thing. But I will say the trip went really good. The only weird thing is, I've got to, like, as the driver, get off the bus before the students get on, so they're not walking past me in that close spot where here's my seat and there they are. So I've got to, secure the bus, make sure it can't move.
June.
And yeah,
It's June. What sport is going on? Soccer? Like,
softball.
Softball in June? Are y'all still in school?
No, our
just
our
the summer.
softball, baseball, those are our summer sports. So they're
You
running
play
right now.
outside of school.
Yeah,
Still affiliated with the school.
yeah.
Fascinating.
Yeah, it doesn't actually. Usually, the softball, baseball season doesn't start until the last week of school, and then it winds up rolling.
Whoa.
But we've got I don't know about down in Texas, but we have a ton of like dual sport athletes. So when you've got your spring games, say somebody's doing one of the spring, events or winter events, and then they're trying to get in on something else. It's not going to work to be dual sports like that. So they just kind of spread them out a little bit.
I gotcha. See, okay, that makes sense. We abuse that. Now I know why. There's a little sport down here called the foosball, and
Yes.
people were training outside of season, like year round, for these gladiator events, and so they kind of put the kibosh on those. Nothing runs. They can't be coach led during.
That's how you guys do that. That's how you do that. So.
So you do.
Yep. All right. Well, hey, let's see. Kathy is saying, hey, guys, she is here. Genevieve says, hey, guys, she is here. Dustin Damesworth, sorry I'm late, but let's go. Hashtag vlogpastor. Dustin, glad you are here as well. It is the Entree Woman TV, the Diana Gladney, saying, hey, the VP's live. And then my brother, gentlemen, happy Thursday. Dustin, good to see you here as well. And it is, yes, this is going to be an interesting conversation for us today. I'm kind of looking forward to it because now when we're talking about post-quarantine online ministry ideas, I couldn't find a simpler, title than that. It's like, how do you do it? Because we're talking about post-quarantine. So basically, once restrictions are lifted and you can start to gather in person again, what do we do with online ministry? That's the conversation today. Jared, you guys have been back how many weeks now meeting in person?
Okay, we're at 5 or 6. I'm not good with numbers, but we're at 5 or 6 weeks back.
Okay, and we're 3 weeks, so this coming Sunday will be 4. And I think that's about right. I was thinking you were a couple weeks ahead of us.
Yes, but the good reason that we're having this conversation is we may not be back for very much longer. We're right at the threshold of going back into quarantine or being lowered down to a lower percentage.
Right.
I would anticipate, if not this week, for sure the next we hit our numbers that our government set out that we have to go back in.
Yeah, and that's the other thing
right
is
at it.
There's a lot of different states that are having to redo this because it doesn't matter why or what caused the second wave, so to speak, but that's what we're finding, is that there's this resurgence of cases. And what we have found, and whether people agree or disagree, what you see through the first type of quarantine and isolation that we had is the numbers decreased. And then you loosen the restrictions and the numbers start to increase. And so there's that debate out there of how soon was too soon, was it too soon, or did things else contribute to it? It's, I don't know, too many variables, and that's for the people that we pay to run, the government. They can figure that stuff out.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of states that are having these conversations because they're seeing their numbers, with an uptick.
What's fascinating is ours is set up where county by county gets to figure this out. But our county, we're in rural Texas, so they kind of dismiss you as you're going to have lower numbers. My city has a university in it, and so it is cranking away. We've got kids still in town, students still in town, at the local restaurants, at the bars, going out nightlife, that sort of thing. And we have a huge spike in the early to mid 20s range of individuals. So it is, we're having to, we're like the little dot on the map of the only ones who are seeing this huge, massive spike in a giant region of rural. So
yes.
Anyway.
Yeah, no, and I would sit there, I will go ahead and throw out a very controversial statement. But hey, there are statistics to back this up that before age 25, you really lack common sense. So if you are listening right now and you are under 25, I am saying that generally you lack common sense. Let me know in the comments below by giving a thumbs up and saying I lack common sense if you are under 25. I would love to hear that. And hey, I just said that I went on this little trip, right? These would be teenagers. And while they did a great job, there were some things that I saw, not necessarily with our school, but there were some things that I saw out there, and those that maybe just completely forgot any type of social distancing rules, they were all under 25. So, and most of them were 14 to about 20. The majority. So it was just kind of interesting. Dustin has a question for us. It's a side question. But first, Kathy says she totally agrees with that statement. She's been around, seen a few things, raised some kids and some grandkids, and she can attest that 25 and under have no common sense.
I was one, and I thought that I knew. I mean, you can vouch for this. Didn't you think that you knew everything? You're like, there's nothing new under the sun. We know everything that there is.
Dude, you could look at like my criminal record, my police record. It all happened under 25. I was an idiot. I mean, I don't think I got saved until, I don't know, 26. Something like that, 25, 26, I don't know, somewhere in there. But Dustin's question, he says it's a side question. Where do I get a mask to cover my mouth, nose, and double chin? That's a really good question. I think you're going to have to make one of those, or what I'm actually thinking about doing is getting one of those neck gaiters, kind of like the buffs. That's what I'm really thinking about doing.
I just picked one up for that very reason, because we were walking, and it doesn't eliminate anything. It just makes everybody get off your back. So I was walking into Staples the other day. Oh, no, it was Staples and Best Buy. They're the ones with all the restrictions and whatnot. Yeah. And they were out at the front. They're like, where's your master? I'm like, I haven't had one of those. Where does one find one? What does that look like? How do you get a mask? Something we haven't even had to consider over here with Jesse and I. So we picked up one of those.
Right.
Were they SA outdoor, full sleeve things? Oh, they're awesome.
Yeah. See, and that's what I'm going to have to do, especially, by the end of the month. I think I've got 3 more softball trips towards the end of the month, and I'm going to need something by then. Although I'm kind of thinking maybe I just want to get some custom screen printed stuff, so I can have it say whatever I want to.
Ooh.
Like lack of common sense. Maybe start quoting some REM. Everybody knows that the world is full of stupid people.
Forget capitalizing on your YouTube channel. And,
you mean maybe some stay blessed and enjoy God's best type of deal?
That.
Yeah.
Straight to the throat.
However, if I were to use my own, tagline, living by faith on a face mask, can you imagine how many religious nuts that would stir up?
I think it'd be awesome. Talk about a conversation starter.
The wrong kind of those are the type of conversations I don't want to have. So it's just... Anyways, Kathy is saying it is a neck gaiter. Dustin is saying he'll just pull up his shirt and show his belly. You know what, Dustin? You say stuff like that. For those that are watching this podcast live, they're going to see your comments and the smile that goes with it. Genevieve, bringing this back around, says, sorry, but I have to say that sometimes even above 25 have no common sense. Yes and amen. Yep. I mean, doesn't was it Hosea 4:6 says something like that? My people are destroyed from a lack of knowledge. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, biblically, that's accurate as well. Okay, so we're talking about getting back into getting into church, going back to church. And let me ask you this, Jared, what you were doing in quarantine, is that online stuff that you were doing, are you still doing that now that you went back to meeting in person?
No. I am not. Okay.
Why?
I will say this for anyone, because what I was doing in quarantine was I was doing a vlog style sermon for Sundays, and then we would get we would send out like worship to the worship team. They'd worship in their worship team. It was a couple at the time. They'd worship in their own house, and then we'd get a word from different houses, and I'd stitch them together. They'd drop box them over to me, and we would stitch them together that way. It was awesome. It was creative. Had lots of fun. However, you are up. You have no time.
Right.
One, you've got to be working on that vlog all week long.
And it's not just what we're doing currently, where we are studying the sermon all week long. We're talking about, it's like an all-week process of trying to minister it. It's not just here it is, we're praying about it, we're studying it, we're letting it marinate and just kind of build on the inside of us so that we can distribute. No, it's like we have to speed that process up so we can start. Yeah.
I have to say it was a very interesting process. I loved it because there's a lot of spur of the moment, a lot of Holy Spirit, like divine moments where he hijacks your mouth and tongue and it just goes for it. That was the fun part. However, it's not fun when you see the clouds rolling in. Our style, or at least what I wanted to do, was I wanted to be out vlogging, floating coffee and I wanted to be out and about. Outside of this studio,
right?
My folks didn't want to see me in the studio preaching on the word, and I didn't want to do that either.
Yeah.
So I'm out and about. You have to time the weather. The weather's shifting. It's changing. It's windy. All the different things that goes along with vlogging. That if we're making a regular vlog for ourselves, we'll kick it a week.
Right.
Well, you can't do that because it needs to come out on Sunday, and it needs to have the weight and honor and respect that's due the Word of God. And it was just it was a different beast. It was a different animal. So, in summation for all of that, I don't think that was a sustainable deal for us long term with going back to church.
Correct.
And you asked what we were doing now. Did we keep it up? No. We do as best we can. What we're doing right now is on Friday after staff meeting, we've been praying on, meditating, studying, whatever, going through everything that we need to go through. On Friday, we sit down together and we say, okay, here's what we're hearing. Here's what we got out of the text. Pick it apart. It's kind of like, let's hear together. What did you hear? What did I hear? What are the fallacies in it? What needs to happen? And we craft it out on Fridays. Mm-hmm. And then whoever kind of has the best grasp of it or just has the anointing upon them, we're all pastors in our own right, we're all gifted speakers, whatever. Whoever's at that table will share. They're the ones. If the Lord's on Josh or Jason or David, then I say afterwards, sit down, share as best you can. Let's go for it. And we sit them down and share. And then on Sunday, so it's kind of like a little snippet, maybe 5 minutes, maybe 20 minutes, doesn't matter, just however long it takes for them to communicate the goodness. And then on Sunday, we'll go back to, we'll have like a regular, shortened actually, from some of our conversations, realizing that we run long in family time and some extra stuff, shortened and condensed service on Sundays of about an hour. It used to be an hour and a half, and I'd probably preach for like 45 minutes. Now it's more vlog style of there's broken up content scattered in between. So maybe worship, a little bit of word, worship, somebody else has a word. It's very popcorn-esque.
And is that online stuff?
No. So we're
just the in-person stuff that you're adding to.
But here's the deal. Will be though. So
it's going to transition into online stuff. Okay.
Yes, we are tearing apart sanctuary lighting, all sorts of stuff to set up for one day, not full sermons, but probably snippets out of sermons to be able to share online with folks. Yeah. We've kind of taken the approach, and this is going to be part of the continuing conversation between you and I, because I can't wait to hear I shot my yapper. I can't wait to hear what you guys have been doing. But the ongoing thing of we've kind of made the decision. There's going to be certain folks who come to church, and there's going to be certain folks who don't. And right now, in this particular environment, it is the core. It's the people who cannot live without the fellowship of the like. They are there. They want to be there. They're part of the tribe. They're pulling for the team, kind of a thing. Yeah. They're there. And the folks who taste on the edges, they watch it online. And that's not totally fair, because there's some people who can't come because of concerns about
absolutely
you know what I mean though. But
there's some legitimate reasons out there, and then there's some that I'm not going to say they're illegitimate, but they're questionable. Exactly. So we've just decided, look, better for them to watch at home and watch watch Joshua, watch you guys, watch whoever, smattering of other folks, and get their teachings in, rather than just not at all fall off the face of the earth. So we're cool with snippet here, snippet there, feeding in as much as we can, and just being there. Nice.
What about you guys?
So with us, I was doing the same thing like you were. I was doing vlog style. And yeah, everything you said, I think that's the thing that most people don't understand, how much work went into our vlog style sermons. And some people would say we put too much work and effort in it. We shouldn't have done that. We could have just went live. Sure, we could have. But that's part of the thing that makes you and I vlog pastors. Exactly. Is we vlog like pastors. We pastor like vlogs, or vloggers. One of these days I'm going to get that. And so the whole thing about pastoring like vloggers, when I say that, I don't mean that, my whole thing about pastoring is sticking a camera and walking around like that. It's more about the idea of vlogging is crafting a compelling message in such a way that it really captures people's hearts and minds. And then we're adding all of these visual elements to it, because we realize, one, we are visual people. There's a reason that God gave us eyes. He wants us to not only taste the goodness, but see the goodness. Right. And that's where we kind of come with this approach of, what if our sermons could be in a vlog style? But it's a whole lot of work, like you said. Yes, the weather. Yes, and amen to the weather. Is it too hot? Is it too cold? We had days, it was crazy. It was like a week and a half where it was either all sunny all the time, no cloud cover, no overcast, which what that means for video people, for photography people, is you've got to try to time in the golden hour. And it's like you've got an hour and a half to try to do everything. But then the problem is that light during the golden hour is shifting so much that when you're using a camera on video, you have to be either setting everything to auto on the exposure or manually trying to adjust it. And even if you do auto on the exposure, it's still blown out in some and too dark in the others. So ideally, you want overcast. It's a little bit of cloud cover, because you could do that at any time of the day. And then the other half of that week and a half that we had was all overcast because it was raining nonstop. And sorry, I'm not going to take a $2,000 camera unit, even though it's got weather sealing, out into the middle of a downpour.
Come on, Josh, get out there, live a little.
Like, no. So it was all about timing and trying to figure it out. And so, people could even look and see those vlog sermons that I did, and notice when the weather was good and when the weather was bad.
Yep.
If it wasn't good, I didn't have it. And a lot of times when it was good for me, it didn't happen until Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon. And there were a couple times that I'm waiting because I had this whole concept about doing it outside. And all of a sudden it's 5 p.m. on Saturday and I still don't have anything recorded because of the weather. So I take off and I drive to church and I start recording for an hour, head back, and then I got like 4, 5, 6 hours of editing to get that thing to... It was a lot of work. And when we're doing everything online, that's fine. But now when I have to do that, and then I get no sleep on a Saturday night, have to wake up and be engaged in the chat, that's one thing because I can do it from my home and people don't have to see the bags under my eyes. And then as soon as I get done with the sermon, I can go crawl in bed again, take an early Sunday nap. But when I got to get up and preach, not sustainable.
It's not sustainable. Well, what people don't see is, they say, okay, we'll make a video. You have a whole week to make a video. Like you said, you have to time it. So you're up early waiting for the weather to be right to maybe catch the first part. Not golden hour, but, the little bit of that dawn in the morning.
Yeah.
So that doesn't work out. The thing that got me was not the stress, but just the pressure of camera needs to be set up. You need to be up bright and early. It needs to be ready to go. And then you need to be in the zone to communicate the properly handled word of God to the people while you're fighting a tripod that's blowing over, while you're fighting the wind, while your comm levels, your audio levels are going up and down, and then you missed it. So you're like, okay, that's fine. The Lord must not have wanted it done in the morning time, so we'll wait for the evening time because you can't shoot during the middle of the day. So you wait for you're doing other things, you're meeting with people, you're calling people, you're doing all the things that you normally do as a pastor. And in the evening time, you get everything set back up. You go out to your spot and it's raining. It's whatever it is. And you're like, okay, I guess the Lord doesn't want it to happen today. We'll wait for tomorrow's time. And you do the whole thing over and it keeps getting kicked and kicked and kicked and kicked and kicked to where just like on Sunday, you're like, come on, Lord.
Right. Absolutely.
Go on. We're cutting it pretty close here. If you want me just to sit down in front of a wall, I'll sit down in front of a wall and make the video. So you make those videos and they all have frustrations to go with them. And man, I felt like the overall taxing of trying to craft something out was a lot. And it's doable if that's the only thing that you have coming for a week because that's your job to communicate the message. But if you're also going to church on Sunday, it becomes unsustainable because you're trying to get it crafted. It's a different format, up on it, which you kind of noticed the drag as well. When you go back in on Sunday, it's a little different getting back into the zone of preaching whenever you've been, delivering the word. Oh man, okay, that didn't quite come out the way that I wanted to come out.
Right.
All right, let's retake that again. All right, here's what I wanted to say, and you say it and you communicate. Okay, yeah, that's right. Yeah, thank you, Lord. That's right. Okay, what needs to come next? And you do the next thing. Well, that is a little awkward when you're standing in front of people going, okay, here it comes. Oh, that was good. How are my audio levels? Are y'all good out there?
Right. Yeah, it's like live one take stuff, so it's just not going to be, as beneficial. So what we've been doing getting back, here's the thing. We're going back. And what I've been doing is just setting up the camera and recording. Then when I get home in the afternoon, I'm editing because we don't have a lot of the live switching elements that I would like. I don't have an easy way to...
Question. I've got to stop. Question.
Yes.
You are the guy who's been beating the drum of Don't Throw Up, the copied, canned live version of your sermon.
Yes. I will.
I'm ready.
Okay, I am ready.
I'm bated breath.
Good. So the reason I've done that is one, because we're still in a limited fashion. And because of that, there are people that, because they're a little bit more immune compromised, they're not going to come. And I fully expect them to not come. That's my full expectation. I don't even want them to come. Not that I don't want them, but I don't want them. For their safety, really don't want that happen. But I refuse to set just a solid camera. Even this last Sunday, I was like, I don't have time to edit this. I'm not going to edit this. You know what? I'm just throwing it up raw. Couldn't do it. I could not do it. So I had to pull in some visual elements. I had to pull up, scripture overlays. I had to throw extra little things, kind of punch in a little bit tighter. And that's the thing, that I'm okay with a whole service being up for us and really for anybody, as long as it's more than just a locked off camera in the back of the room with nothing else taken to it. Because for me, that's just lazy. And I sit there and I think, what value is that? And me, you know me, on this channel, I don't do anything that I don't enjoy. I don't watch anything that I don't enjoy. I don't enjoy watching my sermons. And it's not even because of the... I don't think it's even because of the message or hearing my own voice, because I've kind of grown accustomed to liking the sound of my own voice. But I just don't like a set shot. And I've got a couple different robotic cameramen that should be able to give some motion. Both of them have been failing me the last couple weeks.
Dude, I'm so glad you said that. I was thinking about picking those up. So and part of it, I think, is user error, because I haven't used it in 2 months. And so there's something I'm doing wrong. But like one of them, the Pixio, which I love it, but it's a small company, it's a French company, and the instructions on it are not that good. And so I'm having just a weird issue with it, and I can't figure it out. And I'm one that I will try to troubleshoot it myself before reaching out to the company. If there's any documentation, that's what I'm going for first. I couldn't find anything yet. I'm going to give it another shot this afternoon, and if I still can't find it, then I'll reach out to them. But because of that type of stuff, all I'm doing is really just throwing up regurgitated content, and there's nothing in for me, there's not enough value. And I'll just be completely honest, and even for those that are in our church that are watching this Sunday is the last surprise
video that you are going to get on Sundays. And here's why. You ready? There's one person that watched last week's message.
But Josh, that's one person. We were just talking about floating metrics. Isn't that enough?
No, because and here's
this right here is why I love you.
Here's why. No, that's not enough, because of multiple different things. The amount of work that it takes me to do that. For me to edit the video and get it up, I'm looking at another 2.5, 3 hours of my Sunday afternoon. And that means I'm continuing to work after just working. And for anybody that's ever preached, they know it's not, oh, hey, I was just up for an hour talking. No. That hour feels like you've just been hit by a Mack truck often, because there's so much that you're putting into it.
So much.
Yep. And so I'm having to work more on Sunday afternoon just to get that video up there. And when I thought about, when I'm trying to add an extra video, could these people be coming to church? Yes. Now, not all of them can or should. And I will say the one that I know that watched it shouldn't. But I also know this one person, and they're the person that are so faithful, if it wasn't with this, would be there.
Yeah.
And I also know this person is so faithful that if all I provided was just the audio, they would still listen to just the audio. They wouldn't be as focused as, oh, okay, well, it's the video, because they're going to still take it in. They understand that, one, it's going to require a lot of work. And two, as long as they're still getting the word and they're still hearing the same message that that local body's hearing, they're going to be happy with it. I may be a little presumptive in that, but I think I know their heart well enough that that's going to be the case. And for those others that maybe they need that word a little bit more, they're not watching it. And to me, it's like, I just put in all of this time and effort to really help you out, and you did nothing. To me, it's like if a mother sat there and put out this great meal on the dining room table, and all of a sudden the kids walk in and they look at it and turn around and walk away. Don't
Josh.
even taste it. So,
Just what?
because of that, going forward, I will not be uploading my whole video of the sermon. However, I will still be uploading the full audio of the sermon. And the reason is I can upload the audio in under 10 minutes. It takes no time at all. And so
that was going to be my question, man. So like you equated it to a mom making a full spread for her kids. Couldn't she put out peanut butter and jelly sandwiches?
Yes. And that's exactly what I'm thinking the audio only is. It's a peanut butter jelly sandwich. It's like, oh, I'm going to make sure you still get fed, but I ain't wasting a whole lot of time. And quite frankly, to me, it would be more like the mom saying, okay, you don't want to eat this? There's bread over there. There's peanut butter right there. There's jelly in the fridge. Make yourself your food. So that's it. Hey, before we go further, Jared, I need to ask everybody in the chat, are you guys getting feedback on Jared's audio as well? I know I am, but it could just be on my end. And so I just need to know if somebody can hop in, let me know if you're getting a little crackle and static on him or not. If not, I will deal with it. If you guys are still getting it, that's where I want to try to troubleshoot it real quick. So somebody want to let me know in the chats. Okay, Micah is saying no, he's not getting any feedback and crackle. Diana is saying sounds normal to me. Thank you guys. I love you so much. You're amazing for that feedback. Appreciate you. So we'll keep going. It is all on my end.
Way to go, Josh.
Way to go. It very well just could be multiple. Oh, hey, wait. Is that even plugged in? I don't know. Maybe it's plugged in, maybe it's not. If I had my Bluetooth headsets, and I don't know where they went. I had them on the bus the other day, and then they vanished. If I had them, I would be wearing them. But
no, I've noticed that when you and I are talking, even on the podcast, when it switches from you to me, maybe that's a Skype thing. But when it switches from you to me or me to you, there's a pop. It's more pronounced on mine. It's like a
yeah, and I think that's actually, I think it's a combo of Skype and Ecamm, where there's just a little bit of something. And I haven't figured out why, and I also haven't taken the amount of time to try to feed it, the data to anybody over at Ecamm. I know if I did, they would be able to isolate it very quick for me, but I don't have that. So yes, the peanut butter sandwich analogy is a perfect analogy, and that's what I'm doing. It's not like I'm trying to punish the people who aren't attending by saying, if you don't attend on Sunday morning, you're not getting the word, and that's
nothing.
Yeah, that's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to do is say, if you don't come on Sunday morning, you're not going to see anything, but you're still going to be able to hear something. And I will have that uploaded in the afternoon, so you can still hear the message, but for me to visually present the message, it's more work than I feel that it's worth. And that's the thing.
What's been fascinating about our particular setup is just having the both and. We have that little snippet, and then we have the live session, which we're eventually going to be recording snippets of live session. I found that one will predominantly contain the teaching. So if the snippet has the majority of the teaching in it, then on Sunday or the live service, then we'll just do taste and see, just step back and let the big dog eat. Let the Lord do whatever it is he wants to do amongst his body. More fellowship, more koinonia stuff. But if it's the other way around, if it's like, hey, experience, taste and see, God has this for you, then I get to follow up on Sunday in the live session and do a little bit more in-depth teaching with the folks that are there. And it's almost like it's a nice combo. It's like multiple venues, or that wouldn't be venues, but multiple levels of content for the folks in our church. And I will add this for anybody out there who's kind of figuring out, like, what's another option. A sister church in our community, they're doing something. I think it's crazy. I don't know that it's sustainable, but hats off to them. So they took super basic. They took a cell phone. They took an iPhone 11 and they slammed it on a gimbal, on a DJI gimbal, and they dialed down the sensitivity to how fast it tracks and whatnot. They set it up in front of the pastor. They do an audio form of the worship, and then they do if people want to worship, but then they do the video form of this, of the preacher, the pastor preaching, and it tracks him. It does this thing. They put it right up there in front of everybody. It's right, right there in his chili. And then when he's done, they have multiple services. And when he's done, because it changes just a smidgen. If you've ever preached before, it's not the same. Even though each service is you're trying to hit copy paste, it's not the same. They will take it, edit it in between the services, and post it. And if you got that kind of time, if you got somebody who's on it, luckily a friend of mine, he's brand new into editing. He's gung ho about it, but that's another option. Just a cell phone on a gimbal, getting after it. And for the most part, he's learned how to sync multicam, because they do have another camera rolling. But and it doesn't take him long to pound through that. Switch camera 1, camera 2, camera 3, and that's at least the coverage of the service. Pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Now, eventually, I do see a place with our church where we will get back to doing online for the whole sermon. But that will be a case when I feel we're ready to live stream. I don't know as I would ever take the sermon, edit it, and then upload it again, just because I know the amount of work. However, a full live, I would do a live, but I would be using something like Ecamm that I have here. I would have multiple cameras, at least 2. I would have one that is moving, rotating, tight shot in on whoever's speaking, one that's a little bit more wide, making sure there's good audio. But I would also have it plugged into something like Pro Presenter. So as the scriptures are coming up on the screen, they're immediately going into the live feed as well. And so that way it is similar to what we do here, where it's fully produced and fully polished, and you have the lower thirds that are happening, and I can switch back from me over to you and do all of these different elements at the click of a button. And that would be the thing that I can see us getting to, but we're not there yet. It's going to require more funds. Everything, really technology, all the tech and gear that our church has, I would say 90% of it has come out of my pocket, and it is right here that you're seeing and hearing. Our Sunday mornings, it is my camera, it is my Rode Video Micros, it is my Smart Lav, it is that setup, my Pixio, my Ronin SC, whatever you have it. To do the live stream, it's going to require a little bit more. Now, what I would say is, because I'm not doing that, let's get to maybe some ideas that we would have moving forward. And it's one that here, I want to pull up a couple of these. Actually, before I go too far, there was a comment here, Henry. So Henry said, do you guys do your vlog sermons with a help or just solo? I'm thinking that even under normal circumstances, whatever that means, that has to be all the time consuming. For me, the majority of those vlog sermons were me. It was just me. The very first one I did, there was a section where I'm walking and the camera's following me, or it's kind of leading me as I'm walking through our church. I had my son with my gimbal, and he was using that. And there were moments that I just set the gimbal down and pulled the tripod legs out and set it so he didn't have to do anything or touch anything. But those moments where there was movement, I used him for it. I could have done that all by myself with the gimbal because I could set up a motion tracking, but I just didn't want to go through the effort, and I wanted to get him out of the house. I think I did the same thing on my Easter message, and that one was just tripod shots. So the only thing I had him doing for that was getting out of the house and just moving the tripod for me, which I easily could have done. Other than that, all me. And yeah, time consuming. Jared, what about you when you were doing the vlog sermons?
Same, man. The only things that are different than Josh's is I have a drone, but DJI has got those things so hammered out. There was a couple, and I learned a lot in this season too of vlog sermons. I would be walking along the road, and for the first couple, if you noticed or slowed down the footage, I would be walking with the controller in my hand. I'm still controlling the drone as I'm walking because it's just me. My wife can't fly it. It's just it's just me out there. And then later on, I started using more of the functions that DJI has, where it has active track. You can do point to point, you can do circles, that sort of thing. And you just set your controller down in the grass, as crazy as that sounds, and you take off walking, and your drone's just doing whatever it is overhead, and you're just praying that it doesn't come down out of the sky or run into anything.
I've as soon as the funds come in, it's my next purchase.
It's worth every penny.
Is getting a drone. I was going to get the Mavic Mini, but now I think I'm going to get the Mavic Air 2.
It's worth every penny, man.
That thing's a beast. 4K, 60 frames per second.
I'm telling you, they are an extra cameraman. None of the stuff that people liked about the sermon series, if you want to call it that, vlog series that we did, I would say the majority of the things that they liked about it were the epic shots of drone footage and the varying. If you know anything about camera or about camera techniques and whatnot, the wide angle, medium range, close up, wide angle, medium range, close up, and just varying those shots over and over and over again. And that just takes time, like what we were talking about. You want to walk across the field. You want to get a giant wide angle of it to establish where you are. I'm walking across. I have to set up the camera. I run to the side. I walk across the field, and then I have to go up there, set the camera up at a medium range, walk across the field, go up, set the camera up at a close range, focus in on my feet, walk across the field. That's why it takes so long, and you're trying to get it all with the same light.
Yeah.
That's why you're hustling, and it finally comes to when you need to speak or something, and you're going,
hey,
the Lord said,
yeah, another $10,000, and I'll just have, like an A6600 with a 75 to 200 mil lens on it, tight shot. Another one setting up on top of it with like a, I don't know, 50 mil kind of medium.
Let it be.
Yeah. And then my drone hanging in the air right above it, for the wide. So one take.
Where's Jason Mayfield when you need him?
Yeah. Yeah, just show me the money. So John Hayes, he says that, let's get this comment up here. Whoop, where are we at? He says, I purposefully made our video after we went back not polished so people would prefer to come in person. After 4 Sundays, we stopped video, continue to host our audio sermons on our website and podcast. And that's what John is saying right now. That is going to be our approach after this next Sunday. So this coming Sunday, we were doing a 4-part series, Pentecost and about the Holy Spirit. And so I'm wrapping up that series this Sunday. And then going forward, that's where we will change it up. So I figured if I've already got, 2-3 parts that are all on video, I'm not going to leave the 4th off just in case somebody does want to go back and watch it. But moving forward, audio is so simple to get that up. And for me, I'm still recording the video, and I still will record the video. I'm just not going to put the extra effort into it now. Down the road, maybe. Who knows? I just kind of record everything, back it up, save it, and I figure maybe one day I'll use it, maybe I won't. I'm not quite sure. Which, speaking about audio and stuff, have you guys got into doing much with uploading your audio sermon or your sermons on audio, Jared?
Okay, we were ahead of the curve in that. We were doing podcasts, uploading our stuff for forever. We took our sermon, we've been doing that for last 10 years or so. I've been pretty faithful about it. And then kind of like what you're talking about, you look at the analytics and you're like, it doesn't take anything to upload it, but you do have to chop off, the beginning of whenever you're waiting for it to get started, and you have to chop off the end of it. And even that was like, nobody's like, one person every blue moon would hop on and listen to the podcast.
Yeah.
But, it also trends with whenever podcasts were in and out of season. I would imagine if I was thinking, I would have brought that back in this time. And people have asked for it, which that's a technical issue that I'm working through with our church. We have a recorder that likes to chop it up in 10-second increments right now, and I can't figure out what setting is engaged on that thing that needs to die and be burned forever. But anyway, no, we've been doing it for forever.
Yeah.
It's been beneficial in seasons, and then there's certain seasons whenever nobody's listening to it, you check around, it's like, you guys listen to the podcast at all? No? Well, what are we doing?
Yeah. Well, and for us, we were recording the audio. It's been years that we've recorded it and uploaded it. I didn't actually start to use podcast distribution until the beginning of this year. So prior to that, we were using a service, I think sermon.net. And up until the end of the year, they were free. So, I mean, you had limited storage, but you upload the file, they basically save it on their servers. And then once you've deleted it out of your account, it's still on the server, but it doesn't go against your data limit. Right. Which I didn't quite understand how they did that, but didn't care either because we had all of them and it was free. But to send that out to get like an RSS to publish to all of the others, it was just a little bit of a hassle and a bear for me to try to figure out and set up. Last summer when I started, doing like the digital ministry podcast and testing things out with that, it was like, okay, I'm all right with doing that and testing that feature out for myself and learning a little bit. And then this year, I was like, hey, we're just going to start uploading the sermons and the audio. And I did find we've got a few people, whether it be for one reason or another, they will not be there on occasion, miss a Sunday here, miss a Sunday there type of a deal. And they are faithful to listen to that thing. And they appreciate listening, especially, with some of the new things. So we host it on Anchor, because it's free. And then you can distribute it to every single platform out there. And that's what we've done. And that's what we're doing with this, Vlog Pastors podcast too. It's on Anchor, but it's on every single platform you're at. If you are listening to podcast, look up Vlog Pastor Podcast in your player. If you don't find it, message me at Joshua Verwers and I'll fix that. But I'm guaranteeing, I'm pretty confident in saying I won't get any of those messages because it's everywhere. It's on all of the big ones. It's on, Apple Podcast, it's on Spotify, it's on Google Podcasts, Stitcher and TuneIn Radio. And I don't know, I went through like 15 of the top, platforms and it's there. And then on top of that, I embed it into our website as well, which all of that, literally, it takes me 10, maybe 15 minutes tops with everything, because I'm not editing it down, chopping off the beginning, chopping off the end. I use Adobe Audition, so it's drop that file in. And honestly, it's the video, because I'm recording the video and the audio's on it. So I drop my video file in Adobe Audition.
Oh, nice. Okay.
It's already got all the audio. I drag the audio segment of that down into where it says match loudness. Here's a little technical aspect for those of you that are using stuff. There's an audio standard called LUFS, L-U-F-S. Don't ask me what it stands for. I don't even care. All I know is that Apple loves everything at -16 LUFS. So I've got a match loudness, which it's -16 LUFS, a true peak of -1 decibel. I drop that clip in, I hit match loudness, it does its thing.
You lost me.
And I'm done. And so it's it's like it literally in Audition, it takes me less than 5 minutes. Drag and drop into Anchor. My metadata that I inputted in Audition, it automatically populates. I hit post. I drag that over onto our Squarespace, church website. Done.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Done.
There you go.
I have finished that and uploaded that entire thing in less time than it takes me to put one scripture graphic using Premiere on my video.
Truth, man.
And so it's like, with me, that makes it so much easier. So much easier to do that. Now, here's another question that Micah put. Micah Foster's sitting here and he's like, we're trying to figure out a dual-pronged approach in person and online, but not the same. And yep. Micah, that is exactly where I'm at right now. And here's the reason why, because I was sitting here and I'm thinking about it, and let's use this one faithful person in my church that I know listened to last week's message. How do I know that she listened to, and now I've said it's a she, how do I know that she listened to last week's message? Because she quoted me from my sermon saying,
right?
Opinions are like buttholes, everybody has them, and they all stink. And yes, I said that in the middle of my message, and I had posted it online, but I didn't tell anybody about it that wasn't there, and all of a sudden, there she is posting it online and saying, yep, I heard pastor's message. So I know that one did. And then when I checked the Facebook analytics, there was only one view that lasted more than a minute. I mean, 1 + 1 = 1. Or no, actually that's 2. I'm root.
Nice callback.
But going to this approach, to me, it's like, I know that she's still going to get the value of it. And even if I only put up the audio. So here's the thing for me. It's like, for those people, especially the ones that are coming to church, they're coming to church, and now I've put in all of this 2, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours, whatever extra work in the afternoon to edit and upload. And I put this up, and the ones that actually showed up in person, they've already seen that. I put in all that extra effort and they already got it. So my current method and thought process moving forward is that record the sermon. That's the visual of in-person sermon, is for the people that are there in person. The audio will be for anybody that wants to listen to a replay, and they'll have it, and it doesn't take a lot. But then I still want us to have some more online content, but I want it to add value to everybody, not just the people that didn't show up on that Sunday. I want it to benefit the people that were there on that Sunday. And so to me, it's like trying to have a bigger impact with the effort that's going in. So our current thought, I had one of our Sunday sermons that it was unlike any of the others. I set up the camera on a tripod, brought all the softbox up, and I mic'd up myself and my grandma, and we sat at her kitchen table, and we just talked. We just went through like a little Bible study. So my current thinking is we're going to go and do some of that. And we're going to batch record 4, 5, 6 episodes, because her and I can sit down for 2 hours and not skip a beat. And so I can chop those up into 20, 30 minute, bites, and wind up spreading that over 4, 5, 6 weeks. And that is going to be some effort, but it's not going to be so much effort based on the benefit that it can add. And then anybody, whether they showed up or they didn't show up, it's added benefit to them. And also on a personal level, I mean, conversations between me and my grandma, those are priceless.
Yeah, man.
So then to be able to capture that and share that is kind of cool. So that's my current thought process, and one that I would encourage other pastors to really think about. Do you have somebody or some buddies in your church that you can record it? Jared, you and I have talked about this because you guys have got those roundtable things. And so to do some stuff like that, to be able to batch record those, that could be huge. And it's really kind of easy content, because it's like these conversations, you and I, we're just sitting here and we're like, hey, let's talk about ideas. And here we are, we've been over an hour going on this. We didn't prep anything. We didn't plan anything. We just started rambling.
I think Micah has something.
Vlog Pastor Grandma series. Yeah.
I'm just saying.
It's really...
Just saying. That needs to be a thing.
It was fun. It was a really fun conversation to have with her.
It was a really good one.
So I enjoyed that. And I mean, her home, it's Grandma's house. It's homey. It's got a great feel to it.
Grandma's house.
It's completely different from any of the setups that I typically use. It's outside of the church, which gives that subtle element of, Christianity should go beyond the 4 square walls type of a deal. Not saying that that's necessarily what everybody needs to do, but to me, especially for pastors, especially for small church pastors, which is 80+% of all churches out there, oftentimes we're struggling to think of how can we make all of this content when we're the only one that's going to be able to make it. And we're not beyond some hard work. We're not beyond learning some things. We're not beyond doing some extra stuff, but we want to make sure that there is some fruit from what we're sowing into. We want to make sure that it's producing something. And ideally, because of stewardship principles, we want to make sure that there's a better return on the investment. If all I'm doing is getting one person that would watch it or listen to it, regardless of which format I put up there. And that's all I'm getting. Well, then why am I putting all of this extra effort into watching when it's less effort to do just listening? When I could take that effort I'm putting in, not that I'm trying to get out of that effort, but I could redistribute that effort in such a way that now I've created 6 other pieces of content to bless, 30, 40 people more.
It's so fascinating, just how we all break it down in our minds and for our own unique ministries, because like I have, at least for my congregation, I have more people online watching than are there on Sunday. Maybe not by far, but for sure. That's just, it's been pretty consistent that way. However, from my perspective, the people who are there in person are getting the creme de la creme, that's the heart of it. And the people online, they're getting good teaching. They're getting, a different perspective and flavor each week. But just like I think about the videos that I want to make. I want to make them all. I guess is where I'm going.
Right.
I want to make them all. However, there's not enough time. It's unrealistic, and we burn out because it's just there's so much going on, and it's just us, especially small church pastors. It's just us. If I had a team, man, I'd make every last one of them.
Right.
Here's how I think. Like outreach. What I've seen is, unless a video, when we were doing the vlog style ones, people were sharing that stuff like crazy. The people who went to our church were saying, you've got to see this,
right?
Which they never do. I don't know if your people are the same way. They don't share anything. Like, hey, could you guys share this around? No, they ain't going to do that. But for some floating coffee hand. Okay. They would, for some reason, share these things. So it gets me to thinking, like, what is that standout content where the people love it so much that they want to share, like, there's good news in it. You've got to get a hold of this thing. That's like the original, we've been trying that in the church for forever. Yeah. Like, go into your spheres of influence and share this good news. Well, they're doing it, so I don't want to let go of that live wire.
Right.
But it takes so much that you can't do it all. So anyway, in the future for me, I would love to have an evangelism or an outreach type component to this video deal, something that people love so much that they want to share or is shareable.
Right.
And then something where it does kind of like what you were talking about. It utilizes the people inside of the church, our revelatory table, the folks who aren't up on Sunday, let them stretch their legs and work in their giftings and teach and preach and whatever it is that they do. Let them kind of have a space where they can expand and grow and go for it. And then some form of audio / capturing of that special time with the family, because there are going to be people who can't. In my mind, the church time, the church service is not interesting for anyone else outside of the body. That's not something that people are going to lay hold of and share unless I say something incredibly stupid, and that's very possible.
Right.
But for the most part, it's going to be the family who says, "Oh man, I miss the service. I want to see it. I want to see your faces. I want to know what happened." Or for chunking, for breaking up and using later on if we needed to use it in a vlog or something.
Right.
But that's kind of how I think of things.
Yeah, and that's where I think ultimately this isn't a one-size-fits-all type of approach. Like you're talking about, if you had a team, there are a lot of the larger churches, medium to large-size churches, they do have a team. They're able to put out a lot more content because it doesn't fall just on the shoulders of the pastor. And so they're able to get a little bit more creative and do this stuff. But just because they're able to do it doesn't mean we as small church pastors can't do something equally beneficial and creative. What we need to do is we need to, I think, first think about what is our goal with it. And I think that's where my video recording and just uploading the sermon, it's like, what's my goal? Well, my whole goal with trying to upload the sermon after the fact is for those that weren't able to be there, I want them to get the word. I want them to hear the message. I don't care about them seeing the message. I just want them to hear it. And so that's where it's like, I don't need to put in that extra effort for me and for our church. But the other component was I wanted it to be something still online ministry related that we could reach out and we could kind of expand and do something more than what we were doing before the quarantine. Because I think that may be the biggest failure that churches are going to slip into, is if we go back to doing everything we did before.
Right.
This quarantine that we have, the sequestering that we have, the isolation that we have, should teach us that there are people out there that are wanting more content from the church and from our churches. It may not be on a grand scale because we don't have millions of followers, but there are still people that want that and benefit from that. And so that's where we need to kind of say, okay, what can I do? What is an option? What do I have the ability to do? And maybe it's not even me personally. Do we have anybody else in the church that's able to do that? And that's one of the things with this whole, vlog pastors grandma season. As my mom said, she's also known as Pastor Colleen. One of those, that's going to be something that I'm going to have my son editing that stuff. And so I'll be there to help set everything up. But eventually we're going to get to a place with that. I'll just be talent, on-screen talent type of a deal. And then he can take care of all the production of it. That's
going to be a beautiful conversation for another time. But
yeah,
teaching your son a skill, this is the modern version of woodworking.
Right. Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing. It doesn't even have to be, us, and our kids. It can be anybody in your church. And I know pastors that they're in their 60s, 70s, still pastoring a church, and it's mostly an older demographic, but they've got a few, teens that are coming because they're, kids of a parent or grandkids of a parent. And I've encouraged them, start putting them to work. Help them get a lesson. Let them lead worship under the guidance of somebody else. And this is the point where it's like, okay, pastors, you figured out how to do some live streaming. Now, maybe it's a case that you can show somebody in your church. Doesn't have to be younger. They can be the same age. It doesn't matter. Right. But show somebody else, teach them how you're doing what you're doing, so you can kind of replicate that in you. And now you're giving them a little bit more buy-in to ministry. And now you've got more hands doing, God's work. And I think that is something that, especially for small church pastors, we're so used to doing it all ourselves for so long that it's a trick. And this quarantine has kind of made us figure it out on our own. But if we go back doing what we did before, I think that's a failure. And if we go back doing something different, but it's still us doing everything, I think that's a failure.
Yep.
If we go back doing something new and it in a new way by helping and equipping other people to do that work, that's where I think we can find success in that. And for me, define success. What does success look like? And let's run with that and just try to pursue it. So,
yeah,
that's my thoughts. Hey, I wanted to get a couple other questions here. Just a couple comments as we wrap up the podcast today. John Hayes. John, I am going to share the tidbits you had with JARROD after we get off, but because of the break in it, it's just not going to fit on the screen. But he had some audio advice for you. He says he questioned if it was worth it as well until he had someone new tell him that he had listened to the previous 20 sermons from their current series. Yes, it's a long series.
Wowzer.
Sometimes I like those long series.
Me too.
They can be fun. Other times I'm, part 2 into a series and I'm like, I'm done with this already. Can we go on to something else? And then Henry, I didn't even announce that Henry has been here with us. He's been hanging out in the chat as well. Henry says that is the exact issue that I'm going through right now. I love video. I just want to know that people are going to get something out of it rather than just one person. Yes.
Yeah.
And I guarantee I can speak for Henry in this, and I can speak for JARROD in this. I'm speaking for myself as well, and I think I would speak for most pastors. It's not that we don't value the one person. We definitely have that heart of Christ that is willing to go after the one that needs it. What we're saying is when we're putting in all of this effort and only one person is getting it, when we could put in a lot less effort and then the meat of the message they could still get. For us, stewardship. Why not do this and then take the extra effort and put it somewhere else? So then it's not just the one getting it, but now we can get more.
Here's a very real world example. I don't know how many people this podcast reaches every time one of them is released. I don't know, 100, 153, whatever it is. Who knows?
No
who
idea.
cares? That's the beauty of it. Here's the real world example. I came across the first couple live streams that you ever did. I think I was a subscriber at that point to your channel, Josh. And I watched Josh go to the nines on this thing, and really only his family was watching. I know it now.
Yeah.
But like, he treated them as if they were kings and queens, and they were regulars on the show. And he would say, "Hey Deb, what's going on? Oh, it's my mom," and just being a viewer going, "Oh man, the one matters."
Yes.
And doing it with integrity to the best of your ability. I think there's something to that, because I don't know, there's something about the skills that are learned in the 1, the 2, the 10 that transfer to the 150, 100,000. You know, you learn, you cut your teeth on those things and value people and learn to let the metrics go away. We were talking about metrics a minute ago. You know, where does the value lie? Is it 30 people? Is it 50 people? I don't know. That's different for different folks. But there is something to, Henry, let me throw this out there. There is something to being faithful in ministering to the one when God has you do it, when you're building towards something that he wants you to do.
Yeah.
There's insanity. There's insanity if you've got this isn't you, but if you've got some ego and you need to hit some number and you're working some system, then you're gonna find it very fruitless.
Yep.
And dry. But I just have to say, for a real practical example, whatever this podcast is or will be in the future, when somebody hears my voice saying this, I watched Joshua by himself on a channel with family members chiming in, and he treated it as if this was the night show, the nightly, Jimmy Fallon or something. And it was incredible.
Well, and I think that's the other part of it is, looking at the potential as well. And that's the thing. It's like, when we think about the natural law of sowing and reaping, okay, so the natural law of sowing and reaping, we plant it. It takes a season before the harvest comes in.
A little bit.
And with some things, it takes multiple seasons before a big harvest comes in. And so, on this podcast, I just looked at the numbers real quick. Online, those that are watching it, so if you're listening to this, yes, you can watch us Thursdays at about 10 a.m. Central Time. And for those that are watching it, we're hitting between 150, 200 views now on this. The audio is getting about 10. But to be fair, I just started the audio like a week and a half ago. And so there's that back and forth. But it's, to me, with everything, I don't know, with me, I always come back to the scriptural component, and this is maybe how I view everything. It's the scriptural component of that we are to redeem the time.
Come on, man.
While it's still able, and so to me, to redeem the time, redeem means buy back. How can you buy back time? Because once the time is spent, it's gone. You don't get any more time. So how do you get back time? Well, the only way you can get back time is by making the time that you're using worth more valuable, creating a bigger impact. And so for me, that's where it's like, okay, for me to redeem the time, I can put all this effort in and reach 1, or I can reach 10. And if I've reached 10, well, my time is now 10 times as effective as it once was. And to me, that's kind of the redeeming the time aspect. And I'm fine if it's only 1. If all it ever reaches is 1, I'm fine with that. As long as I'm trying to reach more. If I become complacent, that's when, I don't know, the Holy Spirit beats me up and he's like, really? You haven't asked me for a bigger vision to try to reach more and expand more. I don't ever anticipate it's going to be millions and billions of a reach. But if I'm reaching on this thing, say 200, you know what? I want 201. It's like, just, can I get one more? Can I get one more? I'm going to go after the 1. And once I got the 1, I want to go after 1 more and 1 more and 1 more until I truly feel like God has told me, like the Apostle Paul, that Well done, thy good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
You've run your race. You've finished your course. Until that point, we got more work to do.
Yeah, we do.
So, guys, love you so much. Trey Van Camp hopping in and saying, love
What's
this
up,
conversation. Trey? Appreciate you guys. Mom saying that it is like, yeah. Hey, look how good Mom and I are in sync. Look at this. Her comment, she just posted a comment. Mind you, she left for a while and then came back. She says, it's like preparing a large meal and no one eats. It almost feels like disrespect for the effort put in on them. I mean, Mom.
Deb, you're going to like this.
I literally said the exact same thing. So, love that analogy. The dude giving a thumbs up right there at the end. Trey throwing up some virtual fist bumps because we practice social isolation and we still love each other. Hey, that's all we've got for you guys this week. We will be back next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Yes.
Until then, stay blessed and enjoy God's best.
Enjoy God's best.